Hey y'all. Well, it's summertime, and that means canning time. So I went today, and Floyd and I, my brother, to Sonora, and we picked up these green beans, and I have Edward out there trying to find me a bunch of jars in the garage, and we are fixing to can these string beans. Now, some people call them string beans, some people call them green beans. And a lot of people take and they wash them, and when they do, they snap them. I don't snap them, I cut them. And I put them sideways, and I put them right there. So, I have a whole sink full here. It's about a half a bushel to a bushel. It's going to take me a little while, but whenever I get all of them in the dish pan, I'll come back and we'll talk about where we're going from there. Okay. We have got a few beans in here, and I take, and like I said, I just slice them, get them all done so that they're all at once. Some of these beans have got some, I don't know if you can see it. There are some brown specks on them, but that's because they have been rained on. And we had a lot of rain, so that just, they're still fine. That doesn't mean if you want to cut some of that off, you can cut some of that off as you cut them up. But they're not going to hurt you. I leave mine just about that long, and then they're pretty good with your meal. If you leave them a little longer, I don't like them real short. And I even one time put them up in just string beans and packed the jar with the long ones. That was good too. And I might do some of those today. But right now, I just want to see about how many we're going to have, because I figure we're going to get a good canner full and maybe a few over, because I still have a fair amount still in the sink. So let's go ahead and continue to cut and wash these green beans. As I'm getting them, I'm washing them and putting them in here and then going back and cutting. When this gets to about right here, I'm going to go ahead and put some water over them and put them on the stove. And you don't boil them to cook them. You just get them really good and warm and hot to where they are beginning to boil, and you turn it off, and that's whenever you're going to start doing your jars. But first, I have got to get my jars cleaned and get them ready and get all my rings and lids and all done. So we've got a good amount of time before we can ever start canning. Canning takes a long time. You have to be diligent with it, and these have been in the fridge, so they've got to go up tonight. They don't have a choice. You can't just go ahead and put beans off if they've been cooled, because then they'll start kind of getting slick, and they're gone then. You don't get them anymore. But we'll get these up tonight. Hopefully, we will end up with maybe 2 cookers. And at that, we get close to 20. I don't know if we will. I'm hoping, because I've got 5 pints left from last year. All right. We will talk to you when we get all of this ready. I'll come back and we'll see about how much water you put over them and how I do them. Now, this part here is the washing of the jars and trying to get enough together. I have jars up in my attic that I have kept over the years and gotten. My mama and I think I've told you we canned all my life. So we have got jars. People bring them and give them to me because they know I can. But you need to get a really good, either a mason jar or whatever. whenever you can in the pressure canner, you can go to Dollar General and buy that brand that they have, because that's going to get hot enough that it's going to seal it. But if you're putting up something that you are not going to have to water bath or put in that canner, like jelly or something like that, those rings and lids do not last. They seem to not want to snap, and they have to snap and seal. And you have to be real careful that you, whenever you fill this jar, to make sure that it's cleaned. I'll show you all that in a minute. But we finally got all of our beans done. I'm going to wash these jars up before I start those beans, so that we'll know we've got enough jars cleaned. And I'll have to put my rings and lids down in hot water and get them scrubbed and cleaned, so that, or just get them sealed to where they'll seal. Anyway, we're going to finish this off here just a little bit. These jars here had something in them that didn't want to clean out right, and I have been working and fussing with them. But the other jars I clean as I go in the dishwasher, so I never have a big problem with cleaning jars. They're just got to get the dust off of them. We try to keep them in bags, and that way they're not messed up. But I'm going to take and scald these jars down and set them over there, and then we're going to do these beans and get them started boiling. The beans, if you can see, are beginning to get hot and boil just a little bit. You see the bubbles in them and a little bit of heat on them. That takes it to where they will shrink just a little bit to go in the jars. You see them kind of turning. I'm fixing to, when they start that light turning look like that, you can almost take them off and go ahead and start jarring. So I've got my pressure canner going over here getting hot so I can put my jars in. I am hoping, let me move you back just a little bit so you can see what's fixing to happen here. I am hoping that we are going to get about 20 pints. I don't know if that will come down just a little bit more. No, I don't know how I'm going to get this to where you can see. There we go. Now, you have to have one of these to put over your jar so that it doesn't spill out. And hold on just a second. You need to have a cup so that, turn this off, so that we can fill it. Now, whenever you're doing this, you cannot go above the ring with your water or your beans, because it has to be, and I'm going to show you right here, you have to have it right there on that ring. If it goes above that, let's turn this down, it will not seal. Now, in every pint, let me get my salt. I'm not prepared, am I? I am moving around here trying to get us something for supper along with the rest. In every pint, you use a half a teaspoon of salt. Not any more. And then we move it out the way and put us another jar there. I'm going to fill it up. So, and you continue to do this until you get all your jars filled. And remember, do not go over that line, because if you go over that line, just like that, if you fill it too full, you have to take some out. I got too big a spoon to take out, didn't I? But you take some out. Now, whenever these go in that canner, they're going to shrink up, and you're not going to have as many beans. So you want to watch it and make sure that you don't pack it, but you want to make sure you got plenty of beans in your jar, and that you don't just have a few beans whenever it's over with. Get you a half a teaspoon of salt, put it in there, and go to your next one. Now when we get all these filled, I have jar rings and lids that are sitting in hot water. And they have to have the hot water because they are going to have to seal. So you have to take and put them in the hot water to get those ring seals real hot, so that when they go on this jar, then they will go ahead and start that sealing. Okay, we got too many. I need to take a few of those out. I'm just kind of acting clumsy this evening, ain't I? Like this is my first rodeo or something. All right. We're going to put these sideways. You say, well, Patty, you just took a bunch of beans out. Why are you putting more back in? Because they were bigger beans and they would not go down in there right. So, we're going to put this in there like that. Get my trusty little half a teaspoon and put it in. And go to the next jar. All right, this is just going to be repetition over and over. So I'm going to turn it off for now, fill these jars, and I'm going to come back and show you how to do the seals with the rings and the lids and put them on into this canner. We have our water here, and it's good and warm. I have this much beans left over. So we are going to keep those, and we will reheat them. And we'll put them in jars here in a little bit. What we're going to do now is take, and we have our rings and lids all hot. And we're going to take each individual jar and wipe the tops of them. You can't have any kind of fluid or salt or anything on them. And you take your ring and your lid and you tighten it and you set it down in your canner. And we're going to do this. We've got all 20 to do. If you do not clean that ring and lid, that ring off in your jar, these will not seal. And you'll know that they seal when they come out of the canner and they start cooling. They'll start popping. And then you know it's done. They sealed and you're going to be all right. Now this canner, a lot of canners won't let you put but 10 pints in it, especially the older ones. This is a new one because I burnt up all my old ones by canning. So it will hold 20 pints. And you have to stack them on top of one another. And that way, they will go ahead and you get more, as they say, more bang for your buck. But I am going to finish doing these seals, and I will get back with you whenever we get this canner ready. Okay, as you can see, we have 20 pints. I'm sorry, we've got 20 pints in there stacked on top of one another. And I am going to take and put this back up here. Hang on. There is a mark right here on the handle that this V right here will match up with that V right there and go on. Before you put it on, make sure that all your vents are open. Y'all might not like this, but I blow through mine to make sure there's nothing in there. And then you put this on, turn it sideways. I'm going to turn it around a little so I can watch it. And we do not put this pitcock on yet. This has to get really hot inside. And whenever it gets up to where the steam starts coming out of here, you got to kind of feel it. And whenever it gets good and hot, then this right here, before it pops up, I put this on, and then this little pitcock here will just pop up. When it pops up, the steam starts rolling up. You do not get above 10 pressure. We're going to run it at 10 pounds of pressure for 20 minutes. And that will seal, and that will make all of our beans cured to where they will not ruin. Now, whenever this all comes off, you have to let this come down from 10 to 0. And then this little pitcock here will go back down just like it is right now. When it falls, then you can take your lid off. You can take this off then. Whenever that 20 minutes is up, don't reach over here and grab this off. This is what's going over it. That steam will come out, every jar would break, and it might blow the lid off. You never know. Don't ever take this off until this goes all the way to 0, that this thing right here falls. It has to fall down. Then whenever you take it off, always make sure you shield it to the back. Let that steam go out the back and not shield it to the front. It comes up in your face. So we'll go through all that whenever this thing is all finished. But right now it's building up heat, and we'll see the pressure coming out here. I'll bring you in closer whenever that steam starts. It'll take a few minutes. Do you see how the steam is coming out of that little hole? That's not hot yet. You've got to let the water come out. Every once in a while it'll throw water out, see? And when it does, that means it's not ready yet. But it will get really hot, and it'll start being fluid with it. See, it's beginning now. But whenever you can put your hand over it and it doesn't really scald you, then it's not hot enough yet, because water's still coming out. See there? So we're gonna give it just a second. It's getting there. Also, I forgot to tell y'all, once I put this thing on top of there, that's not when you start counting. Your gauge has to go up to 10 before you start counting. Now that's going to take a while. But whenever it gets to 10, then you get your fire settled to where it won't move. Maybe it'll go to 11, maybe it'll come back to 9 or something. But if it goes 12, 13 on up, you gotta turn it down. Now that's getting to where it's hot. Yeah. I'm going to put that over it, and we're going to see what happens right here. You see that? I put it on just a minute too soon. It's still got water in it. So we're going to have to let that steam off some more. Let's see what happens here. I try to keep the water off of it. And we'll start rocking. There it is. You see how it stood up? Okay, so now the gauge will start going up. And we will wait until it gets to 10, which that'll be right there in the very top. Okay, we don't touch it no more. All right. Y'all, I apologize for the way I look today. I have been running and been going all day long. We've been outside. We've been in town. I'm just about gone. But as soon as this gets up to 10, I'll let you see where it's at. We'll watch it a minute. 20 minutes after that, I turn it off, and we're going to let it come back down. But we still have these beans right here to do. So, I'm going to get those done tonight too. I'll be back. We are at 10%. And we have our stopwatch started, and we are going to process for 20 minutes. So as soon as this comes off, I'll have to let it come down. And when it comes down, before I open the lid, I'll show you when we open the lid how to keep that all of that steam and everything back away from you. So 20 minutes, and then we've got about 15 for it to come down. So in about 45 minutes to an hour, I'll come back on. So it is 10 pounds of pressure, and it is time to turn it off. And as soon as that pressure goes down to 0, we will take everything off. Now, this is coming down, but it's not completely down yet. When it hits that bar in just a second, you'll see this fall, and that will be the end of it. I can take the lid off. We're going to wait just a second so that you can see how that works when that comes down. Also, there were enough beans left in that dish pan that we got 6 more pints of beans. So we ended up with 26 pints out of that sink of beans. And let me see. It should be fixing to fall here in just a second, because I do believe that is on 0. Also, whenever you do this and you get these out, always make sure that the water line comes up to at least a quarter to a half of the jars. I like to put mine up between a quarter and a half, and that way it never runs out. It depends on the time. If you have a short time, like 20 minutes, then you don't have to really fill it too full. But if I'm going to cook and do 90 minutes on quarts or something, then I'm going to put it up to almost halfway of my jar, because I don't want my water evaporating and my jars bursting. So just remember to always keep enough water. They tell you to, in the directions, how much to use, but I always use just a little bit more. Okay. We are still waiting for this to drop. This is kind of like New Year's Eve, you know, where you're waiting on the ball to drop in New York City. But we're going to take these out and put them over here on top of the wood cutting board and make sure that they are all not cracked or bothered. I have my deals to take them out with. I'll have to find them. Come on down now. I have I'll have to wait to get it. I'm moving around here and you're not going to be able to see that when it falls. It sure takes a long time though. That steam has to really go down, and it has to be at a certain level before it'll ever just continually cut itself off. And as of right now, it's not. It is still hot. If you touch that right there, that is scalding. Make sure you don't get your hands on it anywhere. I'm sure it would peel the skin off your fingers. My son touched it one time when he was little, Derek, and it did. It took the skin off of his little old forefinger. We had to wrap it up and keep some salve on it for a while. It healed back up, but it is hot. Okay, it just fell, and we are fixing to take this off. We took it off, and we went ahead and opened it up, and these are the beans that came out. Aren't they pretty? So now we have the last of the crop in the canner, and I have put it back on, and we are going to finish it out. Remember, when you hear them pop, that means that they are sealed. When they are up like that, they are not sealed. When they are down like that, they are sealed. So these have sealed. Those have not. You see that little hump in them? And that will go plop, and you'll hear it. And that means that they sealed off tight. But these here have already sealed, and there's no hump.